we solve for is solving, but that's what AI is doing across the board. They don't want to leave a voicemail at 8 p.m. at night and have a conversation tomorrow afternoon, or they're probably working when somebody calls them back tomorrow afternoon, and you just keep playing this inevitable game of phone tag. They just want to know somebody's going to come out to their house and take a look at whatever their problem is. And so when you think of it that way, like put the customer's hat on, and you're wearing that consumer hat more than you're wearing a business owner hat, is I just want confirmation that whatever my issue or my question or my problem is, I just want a confirmation that it's going to get taken care of. Leaving a message does not give me that confirmation like it used to. It used to be like, oh, I'll leave a message. That's great. I don't even leave messages anymore for the most part, unless I have a house that I want to move into. So that's a line that I kind of came to. At Alivo, we talk about that lead response gap. If it's manual, there's going to be delays inevitably. We're humans. Missed after hours leads. People are like, oh, I only get like 7 voicemails. We have a Harvard Business Review study that states 10% of people actually leave voicemails. So next time you go and clear out your voicemail of your company's answering machine, just take that number times 10. So that's probably what you got in terms of after hours phone calls. Inconsistent messaging is a huge one. And then too much admin and not enough sales. You know, a lot of times I talk to contractors and they're like, yeah, so our process is lead comes in from home or Angie or Home Buddy or whatever. And it comes to me, and then I send it to our sales manager, and then they look at that and they triage it and they get it out to the best, sales rep for that. Way too much admin, not nearly enough in terms of let's get to that homeowner. A few stats here, and I don't know if Anna's on the call, but I know Anna is a big RT3. She and I came up with some of these stats. Your conversion rate is 8 times higher if you get back to your lead in the first 5 minutes. And if you remember back a few slides, your customer expects you to be always on. So that's not like, hey, it's 8 times more when it's business hours. That's 24/7, 365. They're expecting you to get back to them pretty quickly. 38% of digital inquiries come outside of business hours. We have a ton of data on when phone calls and messages come in at Alivo. You would be amazed how many calls get missed in the first hour and last hour of a business being opened and in the midday section. The midday kind of makes sense just because lunch or whatever, but that first hour and last hour of your business being open is the busiest time for our AI agents to be answering the phone, because whoever you generally have answering the phone is doing something else. And then that's where this stat comes in. 66% of unanswered calls are actually during business hours. And then to take that stat one further, I think it's like 30% of calls that come in during business hours actually go unanswered, which is kind of wild, but super busy. Not to do a ton of pitching, but just thinking AI as a high level. So you could remove the word Alivo and you could just put how AI turns speed into.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're good.
How AI turns speed into sales. And this could be AI for roofing contractors. This could be AI to sell you blinds. It could be anything. Instantly engage with new leads, text, email, call. I think the biggest thing, if you've called an airline or a credit card processor in the last like 6 months, that is automation. That is not AI that is doing that. That is press 1 for this, press 2 for that. I'll be the first to tell you, I cannot stand that. It is awful. I went to order a pizza the other night from a local place, and I thought I was getting automation, and I about just passed on even ordering the pizza. Turns out all I had to do was talk to the other end because it was AI. And honestly, ordering the pizza was probably a smoother process than if I was trying to order it from somebody that's in the kitchen, trying to, throw dough, trying to get stuff out. They're all over the place. They miss things. So when you think about AI, Alivo in particular, does it instantly engage the lead? Does it qualify through natural conversation? My favorite one is when you see examples of, either automation or maybe the homemade type agents that are out there. And it's like, yeah, my roof is leaking. What's That's great to hear. We'll get you taken care of. Like, just some of those like human elements that me as the homeowner, if I text or I say my roof is leaking, it you know it doesn't go real far for me. If you're like, well, that's great to hear, let's get you on the calendar, having that natural conversation that's, Karen, I'm really sorry to hear that. You're at the right place. I'm going to be able to take care of you, get that taken care of. Books, inspections, estimates automatically, or whatever your CTA would be. It's looking at calendars, it's reading the times of available, it's getting the right people out there, and then potentially keeping leads warm until your team takes over. Some people, the percentage gets smaller by the day. Some people aren't going to interact with AI, but after hours, if I call in and I can get my appointment booked, I'm happy. Some people maybe want to still talk to a live person. That AI can say, hey, no worries, we're going to have somebody call you first thing in the morning. But then maybe they're sending 2 or 3 messages, communicating back and forth about, what to expect. You mentioned you have a leaky roof. Here's some things you can do to triage the situation right now. Limitless the things that you say in your brain, like, man, if every time somebody called in, I wish I could do this, that's what AI is going to do for you. So I'm pretty much I think I've got 2 minutes left here. Alivo turning speed into sales. We integrate with all of the lead aggregators. So whatever vehicle of AI answering agents that you have, make sure that it's integrating with all the lead aggregators. Make sure that it can handle all of the different sources: Facebook, web inquiry, Google LSA. Make sure it's actually booking appointments on a calendar, and obviously qualifying those, and then just making sure that there's internal notifications. So that's essentially what I have. Here's just a couple stats to leave you with. 2 hours to 2 seconds. That's what AI is going to do for your response time. And honestly, 2 hours is probably a pretty good one considering after hours. The 8x increase. And then this is probably my favorite stat here: 50% booking to appointment on qualified leads when you're able to respond intelligently 24/7, 365. So being able to handle those things after hours is massive. And obviously AI is playing a huge role in that. So that is what I have. I think now I throw my hands up and I wait until the end for questions. And I hit it right on the head, Karen.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, you're done. We're going to see 2 more presentations. Thank you, Michael. That was great. Next up, InstaLily, who I met through SRS. They had an innovation summit. They partnered with InstaLily AI and was founded by someone that used to work at SRS Distribution. But I'm going to turn that over to Sasha and let you get us up to speed all about InstaLily. Can see your screen, but if you're talking, I can't hear you, Sasha.
Oh, sorry about
there
that.
you
I
are.
went to I went to share and then I lost you guys. So let me stay unmuted. Let me share this.
Technology's
And
great when it works, right?
exactly. All right, here we go. Yeah, so let me present. There we go. Can everyone see? Hang on.
Yeah, it looks, there you go.
Still? Sorry, I'm losing my time too. Why?
That's okay. We'll give you an extra minute. It looks
How
like
about I do?
you're presenting,
Yeah.
but then it keeps slipping out of the presentation mode.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Let me see. Let me do play from start. But how do I not have it in full screen?
I think you have to if you're in the show mode, unless you just want to maximize your window and then we can see.
Yeah, I'll do that for today. Um, yeah, so hi everyone. Sorry about that. I'm Sasha at InstaLily. Thanks for having me today. I'm super excited to chat with you a little bit about what we've been building, but a little bit quickly about me. So my background's in cognitive science and decision theory, and InstaLily works closely with a lot of
Hello.
contractors. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
If you're answering your phone, you need to mute yourself.
Good evening. My name is Haley. I'm with the Atlas Health and Wellness.
All right, I think I got it. Sorry,
All good.
Sasha.
No problem. But the main point of what I wanted to say here is that we um, we take a very practical view at problem solving, and so it's really important for us to speak to who we are building for and spend time with them. And so that's where Karen met Amit Shah, our founder of InstaLily, and of course, we'll see everyone right here. We've got this awesome team, all working in person 5 days a week in New York. And they're really the stars of the show. I mean, every day they're on client calls, listening and building really what we're excited to share and show you today. We couldn't do it without any of these fully AI native. Um, but for today, some proof points that I wanted to start off with you guys. These are some of the players that we're working with today. Um, and so a few familiar names. What I'm trying to show with this, though, is that we we take the problems that we're solving very seriously, and we invest a lot of time and effort into learning about them. And so our platform is in production, inside over 10 billion plus enterprises, Fortune 50 organizations. And we've saved millions of dollars in ARR across clients, over 250,000 hours for some territory managers. So this is really our bread and butter, and this is where we love to sit and solve. So why we're here? Well, we don't need to cover that. We know why we're here. But why we're here for me is for InstaLily. And I'm going to talk about Insta workers, which sounds like a funny term, but it's really just a digital coworker. And that's the best way to think about it. They're designed specifically for contractors, suppliers, and distributors. So think of them as having understood if it's a sales Insta worker, every single thing about sales, but not just about sales at your company. And so that's really the defining difference here is that we're learning the industry knowledge, we're learning your company's knowledge and being able to translate that and use that across any workflows that you might need. So a little bit vague still, but let's think about it from this perspective. If we zoom out a little bit more, how does it all work? Well, we have these little specialized workers called Insta workers, and Insta Brain is the engine behind it. So think of Insta Brain as like the coordination, the handling of all the multimodal inputs like video and photos and CRM fields and data lakes. So all of these industry or all of these company all of this company information is super valuable, but it's constantly getting wasted if it's not going back into your company, right? Think of it like a pot of honey that's overflowing with all of this data. And if you're not capturing the honey on the sides, then you're losing all of this gold. So the beauty of InstaBrain is really this coordination engine, but nothing really makes sense until you see it live in action. And so I'd love to show you guys this demo. What we'll see today, since we're coming from the background of roofing more specifically, but maybe from different angles of what that means for each of us. I'm going to attack this from a sales angle because I think that's the most, I think that's the way that we can all connect and have an understanding here. So I'm going to play the video And please give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound, and otherwise I have it downloaded. All right. Then what I'll do is I'll stop share and I will play right from here, from the QuickTime. And I go here. There we go. All right.
Hi, I'm Charlotte at InstaLily, and today I'll show how our autonomous AI platform, powered by InstaWorkers, helps sales managers like Joe own their day, prioritize key accounts, and drive sales with a combination of lead generation, email engagement, and AI-powered planning. Meet Joe, a sales manager overseeing 180 plus accounts across the Midwest. Before InstaWorkers, Joe spent hours each morning buried in Salesforce dashboards, Power BI exports, and unread email threads, chasing data with no clear signal of what actually mattered. The numbers were there, but not the context, conversations, timing, and customer history. Now, Joe starts each day with a focused plan, surfaced and curated by his own team of AI coworkers. Behind the scenes, InstaWorkers assemble dynamically, each purpose-built for domain-specific tasks and embedded directly in Joe's existing systems. Let's take a closer look under the hood. Orchestration InstaWorker prepares Joe's critical signals each morning or on demand, assembling the right team of agents to flag Company A's 25% order drop, trigger a follow-up, and log it in Salesforce. Data analyst InstaWorker identifies patterns, like clients who skipped 2 consecutive orders being 3 times more likely to churn, and flags those accounts for follow-up. Sales strategist InstaWorker uses Joe's preferences and historical customer interactions, like past messaging tone and seasonal buying behavior, turns insights into personalized, ready-to-send outreach. Data engineer InstaWorker pulls and unifies data across systems, CRM activity, product usage, and billing history. It flags hot leads based on digital behavior, like repeat pricing page visits. Voice and video InstaWorker, powered by InstaWorker's multimodal capabilities, delivers answers in Joe's preferred format, via podcast briefings.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We're diving right in this week, getting you up to speed on your top account.
Real-time voice summaries, or 30-second videos. With InstaWorkers, Joe shows up each day already ahead.
And now my quick transition that nobody is going to comment on. There we go. So I'm back. What we just saw is a complete flow from data ingestion all the way to automatic CRM logging. So what this is doing is allowing you or your team to be hands-free and really able to engage with the customer and focus on the customer interaction and not focus on the administrative work, the burden of following up, of logging in the CRM, making sure all your notes are up to date, figuring out which customer even to prioritize today. So all of this is done for you, making it so that you're able to start your day accelerated, and not just accelerated, but feeling like you're on top of your work and like you have the support around you for what you might need. And so that's what I love most about it. And the results, I mean, they speak for themselves. It's really impressive. And I think that, you know, what the biggest takeaway is, because I know we have some limited time and I would like to jump into a couple other things, is that InstaWorkers cover the entire roofing business cycle. So this isn't just a point solution. This is a solution across your sales, across your service, and across your operations. So the idea about this is that it's not just about fixing your company with one AI tool that's all going to change everything, right? Like, all of this is a step function of change. A lot right now is changing, and that's okay, right? Because the idea of change is that it's going to make things easier for us and better. And what we like to think about is, how can we make the longer term also easier? And so with us, when you start with one use case, building a second use case is almost half the time because you already have the foundation set up. And if you're using an Instabrain, then you already are sharing the exact same context. It's really about thinking like Lego pieces and assembling a new workflow around what you would like the Insta workers to do. So it's a really, really valuable addition. And I know that today was about roofing industry use cases. There are so many that I would love to dig in today. There are a few specifically that I think would be interesting that we're not going to have time to dig into, but I do recommend setting up some time, and we'd love to make you a custom demo so you can see what that would look like for you. Demos are really our bread and butter. But a couple other things just before we go to touch on the other use cases, because I know we walked through, a sales intelligence use case. So how do you know who to prioritize and how do you get those accounts going, getting them what they need and getting them updated and in the system? But other use cases that are interesting for like a manufacturing company for roofing, for example, is an operations use case where you're thinking about how do you connect the intelligence across many branches so that you're not just isolating and doing a project on one fixed branch, but if there are several branches, then you're able to spread and share that knowledge across many and make improvements really exponential rather than isolated in one place. So, there are several, like I said, many use cases I would love to jump into. But maybe more important is to think about some of our leaders that we've worked with and just some of the impact that we've been able to have. And I say that not because, of course, impact is the end goal, but it's also been about the relationships that we've been able to build with people that we've worked with. So, for example, Patrick Garcia, who's a superstar in all of SRS distribution, but also and beyond. We've gotten to work very closely with him and his teams on thinking through various use cases and building and growing them throughout SRS and other families. And so that's been the biggest joy for us, is seeing the value and seeing how quickly the value compounds and seeing just really people's lives get easier. For me, that's the joy of all of this. So Patrick's a superstar. Maybe some of you know Emanuela Delgado from Partstown, an OEM parts manufacturer. This is another use case that we have live where we help with technical service, where we help find a part that would otherwise take days to find in 15 seconds. So that's another use case I'd love to show you if we have time. Set a booking. So yeah, I mean, that's all I have time for today, really. Coaching it's endless, really, the way that we can go about this. So I'd love to talk to you guys about what your biggest needle moving use case would be, because that's where we like to start always, is what's going to make you look the best.
I put Sasha's email into the chat as well as Michael. So if you guys want to grab them, if you want to have further conversations, I do want to mention though that Patrick presented at the SRS Innovation Summit where I was, and he said that they rolled this out in, I think it was like February, with just maybe a handful, maybe a dozen or so sales reps. And by June, everybody was using it because they saw what the other folks were doing and they were like, what is that? Where did you get that? Oh my gosh. So it really, it was a pull through the whole organization. So that was really cool. Thank you, Sasha, for
Thank
sharing.
you, Karen. Thank you. And thanks for bearing with me on my slide issues, everyone.
You're technical. That's okay. It happens. So next up is Denver and Brian from, I'm not sure, you have a lot of companies, but I had RIIG Technologies on our email invitation.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Karen, thank you so much for having us. And we have 12 minutes, right?
So, yeah, I know. We're being a little generous, so maybe 15.
Well, I don't know if we're going to top Sasha. That was an amazing thing. Great job, with InstaLily. And, when we talked, Karen, I remember I said, do you want us to have slides or no slides? You said either or. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to go with no slides because the slides that we have are pretty complex on the healthcare automation side. And as you know, Karen, Heidi had invited me. Well, actually, I got an invite because somebody could not make it to the roofing coalition meeting in San Diego months ago. And they said, hey, Denver, AI. And I said, what I know about roofs is they have shingles and they keep water out, So, but I had an incredible experience there talking about AI automation layers. And that's what we're going to talk about today and some of the bespoke challenges I think that roofing and other property technology companies have. Who I have with me is my chief technical officer. And this is going to be a little surprising because my chief technical officer is actually out of the National Security Agency, Karen. So, as you know, our 4 or 5 people are all out of the 3-letter agencies because we built AI and machine learning for something called quick reaction capabilities, or QRCs, which allows us to get requirements and translate those to solutions in a very fast time based on our teaming arrangements. If you saw the teaming arrangements in the prior briefing on InstaLily, when you're talking about the NVIDIA Inception program and things like that, we sort of been doing this a while. We're in something called the NVIDIA Connect program going into the NPN, or the NVIDIA Partnership Network. But we also are partnered with Google in a pretty robust way with tokenization and AI. So as we're going there, and I think the questions after this are going to be pretty awesome based on the great briefings that we've seen. But I want to tell people where we came from so they understand the craziness we're about to present to everybody, Karen, if that's okay. So
Sure.
Here we go, right? So our company started off literally killing terrorists. So what we wanted to do was actually to use different types of data to do something called identity resolution for any type of data that got ingested. So what that means, everybody, is whether it's a Word doc or databases, or it's an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that, we could dump all that data and build targeting link maps. Those targeting link maps would see a specific individual. That individual would be defined based on biometric data or based on law enforcement databases called identity resolution databases. But also we had 2 massive, I would say, software suites where we could look at 300 different social media platforms in real time, ingest that data, and then build the networks of the people around them. That's how we got started. And you're probably wondering, everyone, well, how in the heck did they get into this briefing? Which again, I'm blaming Reed Ribble and Heidi Ellsworth for all of this. So here we go, right? So when I went to the roofing conference to talk about that, it was like, well, Denver, you guys are doing what, counterterrorism? I said, actually, no. We started there, but we went into insurance technology and health technology automation. And everybody's like, well, my goodness, that's quite a pivot from terrorists to teeth, right? So we're like, yeah, it's quite a pivot because automation layers are replicable. And with the amount of data that we can ingest, we have this ability to look at things in a way over the shoulder that other people can't. And I'll explain this really quickly. There's a lot of people, and we already have roofing contracts and doing requirements right now for specific companies where they have bespoke problems. Now, those problems could be where they want a competitive advantage or they want to scale it. And so it's interesting on the healthcare side, we had doctors come to us and ask us to help based on our background in AI. And there's 2 things, not only our automation, how do you verify insurance without using a human? That's why, as you know, Karen, our other company is called Hoodle, Humans Out of the Loop, right? How do you use verification without a human? And how do you actually get paid? And that was the big, they said, Denver, get us paid. Verify our insurance. We had one conglomerate losing $7 million a month with 140 doctors and lost claims. So, and when I introduced Brian, and we're not going to take a whole lot of time because there's some complexities here. It gets a little bit nutty. But we went to the individuals, they said, hey, how much data can you ingest? And right now, just on the health side, we're ingesting 12,000 different schemas. And we have literal teaming arrangements with some of the biggest companies in the world for medical data and health data. That automation layer was what came out of our work in actually tracking terrorists and bad guys. And we were able to transfer that technology because our guys came out of NSA. And the other thing we could do, Karen, is we wrapped a cyber defense wrapper around it because of what we did. So the health guys sort of lost their minds, and we're about to deploy our first system in 2 weeks, December 1st. So we built that, about $3 million worth. We built that system where they had this insanely bespoke problem, like a dental office. There's 140,000 of them, losing 50,000 a month in dental claims, and they're paying $6,500 to humans to do it who are doing a bad job, and they're losing the money simultaneously. AI takes away the contractor side, but what it really does, it doesn't make any mistakes in the verification of the actual insurance, which allows people to get treated quicker and to actually get paid, and they can go home and they're not sick. Wow. So I briefed this at the roofing convention and at the coalition, and I did not really know what to say, how to start it. And I said, hey, are you a roofing company that does tech or a tech company that does roofing? That's all I could think of, really. But then it got into this incredible conversation of where AI automation goes. So we started getting phone calls. So we have signed actually multiple NDAs on very specific and bespoke problem sets when it comes to AI automation. And I'm going to turn it over to Brian here. We can sort of generally talk about some of it, but some are incredibly groundbreaking. We've talked to some large companies all the way from Dataforma all the way down. And some of the things that they have when they're talking about data and formatting data, that is our specialty. We call it over the shoulder because when we walk into your place, we have no idea what we're coming into, right? We need your experts to let us know, but we're actually bringing in people who've actually built things, anything from, I would say, collection platforms on aircraft, all the way to rocks that don't do actually what rocks do in the desert. And we could go into that another day. And we've also built things in healthcare and other types of automation systems that are so robust that we have patentable technologies on actually how to do that. We're experts in conversational AI. We have multiple teaming arrangements on data for that. But we also have a person I'm about to introduce you to, Brian Behe, who was the CTO. And I'm going to let him introduce himself very quickly and do a general quick run. What do we have? About 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left, Karen?
Yeah, that's about
Correct?
right.
That's right. I'm watching the time. So I'm going to bring
Thank
on
you.
Brian Behe very quickly. And this probably will go into some problem sets. Why we don't have slides is because we're under an NDA on our specific requirements for those companies right now. And that is the only reason why I'm like, I don't know if we should. But Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you now. That give you all the pressure to talk about what you found over the shoulder and what we're now doing for these multiple companies.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Denver. So good afternoon, everyone. So very quickly, as Denver said, we are currently engaged with a number of clients where we are building out solutions targeting two different areas of the roofing enterprise, if you will. The first is on the business side, where we are targeting AI automation across the lead to proposal pipeline. So everything from lead aggregation, identification, through automation around the generation of estimates, proposals, and then, of course, capability to do those proposal follow-ups. So that's kind of one side of the business. On the operations side, we're focused on capability around schedule optimization. So if you have a team of roofing technicians and you've got locations for where your jobs are at and the amount of materials you have in your warehouse and the weather and the distance to the job, things of this nature, how can we produce more optimized scheduling for your team and for your ops? There's also solutions we're developing for folks out in the field to make your technicians more efficient, better at gathering data where you might want to do such things. And then lastly, there's the piece of this around inventory and warehouse management. So for those who deal on the material side and wanting to be concerned about, are your vans fitted with the right amount of materials for the day's job, automated solutions to bring to bear to help achieve certain efficiencies within the operation side of the roofing company. So I know it's a lot to take in. Happy to take questions. Denver, happy to pass it back to you, but that's largely what we're after.
Yeah, and the tough thing when Heidi talked to me and Karen, we talked about this before, is we did not realize, even to the point where we said we were doing this a couple and like, please, Denver, just make it very broad on what we're trying to do right now. But I think what they're looking at too is things that are scalable. And I'll give you a quick example. And I think everybody on here is so freaking bright, they'll understand what I'm talking about here. We have a company that came to us that's not roofing. A massive company that monitors all of the video feeds for cameras and other things in major cities around the country and in major areas. They have so many video feeds that they can't manage them. Our job is to automate every single one of their video feeds. Every single thing in that video feed when it's downloaded is identified with some kind of identifier, whether it's a person, whether we do biometrics. or what's on that video feed specifically, and if that video feed actually applies to their problem that they're trying to solve for their clients. I hope I'm tracking, or I hope everybody can track on that. It is a massive problem set. I think with our ability to process the data that we process, we are not going to be the company that's going to solve everybody's problems across the roofing industry. And that's the phone calls that we're getting. We're the guys who solve the hardest problems on the automation side for massive data aggregation, but also to standardize all of your data. And what we're seeing with a lot of the programs, and we're very impressed with the technology that's out there, but there are certain problems that we've been presented by these companies that are absolutely overwhelming in scope to them. And when you're looking at data that they want us to process from the 1980s till now, and then to make sense of that data, and then to operationalize that data on that operational layer, I would love to talk to everybody about that. And I wish that we had that thing released so that I could show you. I think it's pretty incredible. And I think when you're talking about voice, right? Voice to task, which is something, sort of the V2T thing. What does voice to task look like across the whole roofing or property technology industry? Can you do that? And we are definitely getting questions in other industries about, Denver, we never want to touch a keyboard. Can you do that? The experts that we have allow that to happen. What if you can do something with a voice command that starts your specific chain of events? It's an incredible thing. And we know it can be done because we built them. We built them in classified environments. And I think actually translating that and transferring that to property technologies is a challenge, but it's one of the coolest things that we've done. I never thought in a million years we would start with a massive counterterrorism platform, and I'd be here today talking property technology, and we're probably more excited because we've been in the other lane for so long. I don't know if we've been more excited than the companies that have brought us in and really opened up their data and showed us their biggest problems. And I just very excited to be here. We're ready for questions. I don't want to take any more time. I don't want to belabor the point. We will have slides soon, and those slides will be approved slides that we can show you. And I think at that point, I think we will be even more specific in what we could talk about. But I really appreciate you, Karen, and thank you for the invite. It's an honor.
Yeah, no, we're going to have all of you back so you can go deeper, because it's clearly obvious that 12 minutes is not enough.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is. But we
That's
wanted
great.
to get, just a real high level look at what are some of these solutions that are out there for the roofing industry and how some folks are using them. So I would love for folks on this call to, if you have a question, now's the time. Heidi, I know you always have a question.
Okay, and I'm going to apologize. It's going to be kind of loud, so I'm sorry. The music's in the background. I think I just want to say first, thank you to all the presenters, because I think this is so important that we're getting this wide view of AI. It was really interesting. I just saw a report come back today where they're saying that companies are saying they are not getting rid of their people, they are upskilling their people. So they're taking the people they have, empowering them, because they have this AI component that, like what you all talked about, that is going to be able to make things more accurate and take care. We don't have to have humans doing them. So the thing that I think is interesting, and RT3 looked at this a number of years ago, and I don't really expect to answer on this, but I think it's something for you all to think about, is we do not have language within the roofing industry that is standardized. So somebody in Florida is going to call a pipe vent. Somebody in Oregon is going to call it a gooseneck. I don't get mad at me if I said that wrong, but you know what I mean. So everything has a different name depending on the region, depending on which manufacturer they work on. And a couple of years ago, that was a big problem. Everybody was talking about that was really going to get in our way. Is AI going to kind of step into that and fix that for us and take us to that next level?
Are you asking me?
Heidi.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Brian.
I'll offer a resounding yes. Artificial intelligence will tackle this challenge. In fact, we've actually done this as Denver was mentioning earlier, we built tooling for the insurance space. And you can imagine there's thousands of insurance companies, and they all also have different language around how they describe their policies. And so we built out the solution to actually standardize and normalize across these 12,000 schemas that Denver had mentioned. So absolutely, if folks are playing in this space and are of interest, there's a lot of tooling out there to support that and tackle that very challenge.
I have a question for Michael, with the, answering the phone and the conversation. Because every roofing company has different processes and different procedures. So how customizable is the voice solution that your company brings to the table?
Infinitely customizable to a fault, if that makes sense. So like that, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. That is a really big selling point for us, where we can go and train Lily as our phone agent. We can train Lily on everything there is on your company. Lily's looking at your company website. We can upload your SOPs and everything into that. And so it's extremely customizable, and that's really good. But sometimes it's like, you give a mouse a cookie and they're like, well, that was really cool. Let's do this and let's do this and let's do this and let's do this. And then it gets a little too complex, if that makes sense. But high level answer, we can basically have the conversation go in any direction that contractor wants. Like, we have one client that goes from almost quoting, like, I see a world in the next 24 months, maybe a little longer, where we're selling roofs, or at least, coatings and such, over the phone in real time, where, we're grabbing Eagle View information or whatever, and we're able to do all of that. And so very customizable in what the agents can do, what we can train them on, how they converse, even can get into like regional, slang and stuff. We have one client that wants y'all in their conversation. And I was like listening to one of the tests, and I was like, I'm sure they asked for Lily to say y'all, but that just seems like out there. But yeah, lots that we can do with it.
Wow. Other questions?
You just talked about selling over the phone. Where are we at with video? Obviously, video is such a huge front, and much easier to be more influential with the face. So where do you guys see that at? I see Denver smiling.
Yeah.
And Sasha too.
And Michael, he had me with y'all, right? I'm like, in Pennsylvania, it's use, right? And we got pop and soda, and we got all kinds of issues, right? Which is really hilarious, because we got that. But so that's one of the things we've been addressing, actually, Ty. I had to be really careful here. So now you're rolling into some awesome stuff. You're really smart on this. And yeah, the thing that we're really good at is, building AI avatars. I will say this. So I was talking to a political candidate yesterday, and he goes, Denver, what is AI going to do? And I said, well, so for instance, and I wanted to, and this applies directly to roofing, and I think you guys will get it. I had 23, when I was a congressman, I had 21 counties in my district. I had 2 cities. This is 2018, 2019. It's 10,000 square miles. And when you're talking about sales, you have to sell yourself to 23 different counties with 23 different problem sets and matrices, right? You have polling and crosstabs. You have millions of bits of data that you have people trying to distill to say, Denver, make sure that you support uranium mining here, but don't support uranium mining here, right? So make sure you lie, because that's what a lot of people tell their bosses and politicians to do, right? Of course, I would never do that. I just want to let you guys know, I'm just giving an example. So there's that, right, for all the 23 localities. What we can do now, and what I told him, I said, well, why isn't there a specific avatar of you, right? Looking at those specific, we can ingest all that polling. You can look at the problems for that specific area, and your AI avatar can actually sell yourself with that specific problem set. He goes, oh my God, what do you mean? I said, we can turn it over in literally hours. He goes, okay, so let me get this straight. So I have 23 counties. I could do 23 digital ads, which is addressing their specific problems simultaneously. Yes, and it's not that expensive. And when I say this, people's minds sort of go, how do you do that? Well, I think when you have the companies that are on this call, when you're looking at what they're doing, they understand too that it's really about the processing power, Ty. It's about the data. It's about the ability, right, to ingest, understand your specific scope, what your sales pitch is, and then put that sales pitch right there in a way that people understand in a very concise way. Politics is 30 seconds. That's what you got, right? Until they phase out. That's what you got. So that's the excitement of this, right? When you talk about, experts in like Michael, experts in conversational AI, what we do too, right? When you're talking about Salesforce or you're talking about all those type of things, that's a lot of people are going to go away, sadly, in these sort of layers for marketing, because you can actually fine tune your marketing based on how you want to hit a specific locale, based on all that data that you have, based on the type of roofs that you have. And that's some of the things that we've gotten on requirements, Ty. So that's why I'm being really careful, but that is where we're going. That is it. And I think it's huge, right? To have the processing power to do that, but to have the actual companies give you the requirements to allow you to do that type of specific targeting. I hope that helps. I sort of talked around a little bit, but I hope that helps a bit.
Oh, it definitely helps. I'm a coach consultant, so if I can, multiply my avatar and, dump,
Well,
then I can
yeah.
have multiple cohorts. So
Yeah, but for me though, I have to make myself better looking in order to sell anything. So we can do that for everybody on here. I just want everybody to know that.
Sasha, I see you kind of nodding your head in agreement, and it sounds like that's what he was talking about, that really specific targeting, those some of the examples you showed us for each individual salesperson and helping them understand that the customers, what the issue is, what might happen, and being able to really address it specifically for that customer. That sounds exactly like kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, Karen. And I think, Michael and Denver have both touched on it and in different parts as well. We're definitely there, or definitely headed there, if not there already. Like this, I love the question about video, Ty, because everything is multimodal. And you're right to ask that. I mean, one of my favorite features and something that we're launching with a new customer, not to like overly sell right now either, but is our coaching. It's live coaching on a video, or on your iPad or on whatever device you're showing up doing that consultation. If you need like additional feedback points, there's also a layer that we didn't get enough time to cover where we're talking about like pre-appointment briefings, real-time nudging, like proposal sequencing, top threats, and those patterns and that modeling, voice and video recaps and teaching modules to help people, how do you really nail that pitch? Did you land it that time, or is there another way we can go about it? Maybe we didn't quite hit the nail on the head, so to speak, for that, exact customer, and what can we do better next time based on SOPs, based on manager feedback, or based on like what other branches are doing. Maybe there's something to learn at somewhere else that you should have in your network. So absolutely. I mean, multimodal voice video, that's really the tip of the iceberg. What's coming is just really, really exciting.
Wow. Okay. We are almost out of time. So any last questions? All right. I did put their contact information in the chat. So grab it out of there if you want it, or if you
I think Heidi had a
Yeah.
question.
Oh, Heidi, sorry.
Sorry, just one last thing. I just want to encourage everybody to get in touch with Michael, Sasha, and Denver. We can get you in touch. We can make those introductions, because this stuff we've all been. I just had conversations with Michael and Denver in the last week. Sasha, I can't wait to visit more with you. I know Karen's working with your team, but this is the future. And so I think, Karen, I want to say thank you for putting this together for RT3, because you're really keeping us in the forefront, and this is cool stuff. So thank you. And thank you everybody for presenting.
Yes, and thank you, Anna and Heidi and all the task team members, Wendy, for for finding this stuff. And any of you members out there, if you run across a new technology or a new thing that you think would be great for an RT3 virtual meetup or even an in-person meetup, you know where to find me. Just let me know. And like Heidi said, get in touch with her, with me. We can make introductions. We can keep the conversation going, because I know it wasn't enough time. So maybe we'll get a little more in depth in the future. Thanks everybody for being here. I'll be emailing y'all.
Thank you.
Care.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening.
Thank
you.